This year marks the 150th anniversary of the first ascent of the Matterhorn. For 150 years, mountaineers have been reaching the summit of the iconic Swiss mountain. But more than 500 people have lost their lives there, twice as many as on Mount Everest. Dr. Martin Walzer is on call around the clock to rescue climbers in trouble. It's dangerous work and demands everything from him and his team. Will they manage to get where they're needed in time this weekend? It's 4 in the morning on the Hönli Ridge. 15 climbers are on their way to the summit. "3,000 meters lower, the Zermatt rescue team members begin their working day. German doctor Martin Walzer has been part of the team for 15 years, always 1 week at a time. He's on call for 24 hours a day. His morning starts with a routine check. Ampules for injections, bandages and dressings for injuries. Everything has to be in its place when an emergency hits.
The
biggest challenge is that, as an emergency doctor, I first have to recognize what's going on very rapidly, assess the situation quickly, and know what to do. And secondly, a challenge that's just as big or even bigger in the mountains is to be sure to communicate with my team and never go anywhere, putting myself and my patient at risk.
A call comes in.
Okay.
The dispatcher receives a report of a stranded hiker.
Das ist gut, wir schicken Susi.
She immediately sends out Susie.
Es gibt eine Evakuation am Wasserhorn, Susi, bitte starten.
Susie is one of 4 helicopters at the base. A hiker at the foot of the Matterhorn has to be evacuated. He climbed 3,000 meters wearing only sneakers rather than proper boots. Now he's stuck in the snow and rocks. Walzer's team includes a paramedic and mountain specialist to ensure the safety of the doctor and his patients.
Anyone who's been flying here for years, and most of them have been here for many years, is so experienced they can usually deal with any medical situation. They have to because we're much more occupied with assessing the situation to see if everything's safe and the patient is secure, and making sure we're not putting ourselves in danger.
Pilot Danny Auftenblatten heads for a ledge. Walzer will wait there with the equipment. That way, the helicopter can remain light and maneuverable.
There's no time for fear. Sometimes afterwards you really have to say, wow, we were really lucky back there. That can happen, of course. You just have to approach each rescue mission with a certain amount of deliberation.
Okay. Warm, hè? Ja, in Zermatt. Dat is recht, hè?
The rescue specialist is winched down from the helicopter. It's a 150-meter drop. The pilot has to keep the copter steady so the rescuer doesn't get flung against the mountain. After a few minutes, the rescuer is pulled on board again, with the hiker hitched onto him. Physically, the hiker is okay. After Martin Walzer gets back on board as well, they return to base.
The mountaineers and patients never get on my nerves. They're part of our job. If people climb a mountain without the proper equipment, they'll create a situation that could also put rescuers at risk as well. But that doesn't really bother me. This is what I've decided to do.
The hiker will have to pay for the rescue himself. The rescue specialist appeals to his conscience. Going climbing in jeans and sneakers can be fatal. The hiker admits he made a poor decision. The rescuer asks again for his ID and writes down his details just to be sure.
Gib mir noch mal gerade den Ausweis gerade. Schreib mir die Ausweisnummer noch mal auf.
Back in the office, Walzer catches up on his reports. He writes up the times and details of 3 separate operations.
There are quite a few missions where you think everything would have worked out even without me. And then there are just a few missions I know very well would have ended fatally without my help. They're going to happen time and again. You need them for yourself as a validation. After all the other operations where you think, that would have turned out all right even if I hadn't come.
Then it's time to go out again. There's been an accident on the Matterhorn. The rescue team has no idea in advance of what they may be facing, but they're ready for anything. They get more details by radio. A mountain climber has fallen 50 meters down the rock face. The rescue team has to winch him out.
We're at 4,000 meters and the temperature is still over 10 degrees. That's unusual. Helicopters lose power with warmer temperatures, and it's not long before you've reached the limit.
In the early years, before I became a father, it was just an adventure. But now it's a different situation. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking I have to return home again.
The pilot seeks a place where he can set the climber down. He's aiming for the Hütte, a mountain cabin at the foot of the Matterhorn. The mountaineer is uninjured, but still suffering from shock.
Too quickly. We start to go down always more faster. At one moment I lost totally control. I really prayed to God. It did something. It stopped us. It stopped us over the rocks.
Cases like these are not unusual at the Hütte. Every day, up to 100 climbers set out from here to the Matterhorn. Cabin manager Kurt Lauber is himself a member of the Mountain Rescue Squad. He does what he can to inform climbers and warn them about the dangers.
It's like a labyrinth. When you get going early in the morning while it's still dark, it's hard to find the right path, and many wander off it. That means they're out there longer, and soon all the small things begin to pile up, like the time factor, for instance. The longer you're out on the mountain, the more tired you get, the less focused you become. So all these small things can pile up, and the dangers can increase.
There's already been one fatality this season.
There are some cases which get under your skin. There are sometimes these twists of fate when a climber has fallen to his death, and that's the way it is. But his family comes here and you have to tell them the news yourself. That's always disturbing.
The next distress call comes in. There's been a fall somewhere north of the Matterhorn. Walzer's colleague Volker Lischke takes on the job. It doesn't look good.
We don't know who, we don't know what's going on. It's a solo climber, apparently. There's no group there that we could talk to. He could have had a heart problem. He could have stumbled. It could be anything. At the moment, we can only speculate.
Lischke looks for witnesses. Then the helicopter crew spot a man lying dead on the mountainside. He quite obviously slid across the snowfield and plunged more than 100 meters. Moments like this are hard for the team, even after their years of training.
Deaths in emergency medicine are just part of life. Everyone has a strategy for dealing with it. What I do is discuss it with the team.
Walzer's shift is over for today, but he's still on standby. He's ready to be called out on a mission 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.